Hi everyone, Barbara Rankin here today with another video tutorial for the ColourArte design team. Today we are going to make some tags using the packaging from all sorts of things I have purchased. As you can see, I have quite a collection here and I keep them on a nice binder ring to keep them in order. Today I'm going to be using this tag from Graphic 45 Staples, and I love these craft tags from Prima's Finnabar Mechanicals. So let's get started. Creative paperclay is another fun product to use with your ColourArte paints. I had a package of it opened and it had gotten quite dry and crumbly. So I crumbled the paperclay up into a plastic container and poured water into it. I let it sit overnight and, as I had hoped, the paperclay sucked up the water and I was able to make a thick paste with it. This made it very easy for me to spread over a plastic texture sheet such as this, and when it dried I was able to peel it off like a sheet of paper. Here are pieces I made previously that have dried. This particular application was spread on a bit thick, and it does tear easily, as you can see. I took a chance on the next one I'm about to show you and spread it on so thin I could see through the plastic sheet. Much to my surprise, I was able to peel this off like a thin sheet of paper. I was surprised that the paper clay held its shape, and you can see right through the honeycomb texture. This is so cool and is going to make a neat texture, and like I said, the paper clay tears easily, so we can use it to our benefit on our project. We haven't talked much about ColourArte's Bind and Resist product and how to use it, even though there have been plenty of questions about how to keep the powders from rubbing off after you paint them onto a project. The first thing you need to understand is that there is no binder in the primary elements. They are only mica mixed with pigment. The Bind and Resist product will act as your binder if added to the primary elements. Instructions are on the jar, but basically you just need to mix equal amounts of the Bind and Resist with your primary elements powder. Mix it with water to whatever consistency you desire and paint away. Your powders will not come off. Let's try sunburst primary elements on the honeycomb tag. If you have any of these little spoons you get when you sample ice cream, keep them. They are very useful for spooning out small amounts of the powders. I'm not really exact in the measuring, but instead pretty much just eyeballing a 50-50 mix, and the amount of water is up to you. I just use my brush to mix it together. It mixes quite easily, as you can see. Let's try yellow rose mixed with the binder this time. Add more water if you want a thinner consistency. Don't worry if you don't get the color in every honeycomb. It will get covered with the next color layer. As you can see, by using the binder, my color layers are not mixing like they would do otherwise. They are just layering on top of each other, whereas before they would continue to mix and make new colors. It just depends on the look you are going for. I am using burnt umber primary elements mixed with the Bind and Resist. Now this can be thinned down to make it more transparent, like a watercolor, or you can add more of the primary elements pigment to make it more like an opaque paint. I need to thin this down a bit more, so I added some water directly onto the tag. I sprayed a little water on it and I used a damp baby wipe to remove the excess brown color. I would suggest that you be careful when wetting the paper clay again, as it does tend to turn to mush if you are not careful. You can see here where I added too much water and lost some of my honeycomb effect, but it looks kind of neat, I think. Continue adding the color wash and pick up the excess with the baby wipe. Well, I thought my camera was on and recording, but it wasn't. So what I did was take a more watered down bit of this same burnt umber mix and paint the tag with the wash. Then picked up the excess, just as before, with a baby wipe. I'm not sure if it is taking some of the color layer below off or adding color to it, but whatever it's doing, I like it. Make sure each layer is dry before moving on. Let me try a little bit of this moss agate primary elements mixed with the bind and resist. Sorry, I'm a bit off camera there, but the mixing process is the same. I'm adding more color in some areas and less color in others. Be sure to dry your piece well. This pretty color is African jade. It is a very popular color, and you can see why. I'm going to mix it into this puddle of moss agate I have left here on my palette, and just a little bit more of the bind and resist. Don't be afraid to mix your colors. So I'm going to brush the color directly onto a foam blending tool and pounce the color over the tag for a mottled effect. And don't forget to dry your piece well. Now I'm going to use the rose gold primary elements without the binder, just using a damp baby wipe to pick up the color and spread it directly onto the tag. You see, the first layers have been fixed with the bind and resist, and I know they are going to stay where I put them no matter what I do on top. However, the powders will rub off without a binder. The color will still be strong on the surface, and I am placing the colors randomly where I want them. After all colors have been added on top, I will fix them by spraying the tag with a clear acrylic sealer. This is just another way to bind them to the surface of your project. Continue adding the colors until you're happy with the results. Let's set this tag aside and work on the honeycomb tag. I'm going to add ancient coin primary elements to this one, once again using a damp baby wipe to spread the colors. This tag will also have to be fixed with the clear acrylic sealer to fix these powders too. Now I'm thinking about bringing in this mandarin citrine primary elements. Just a little will do for a very nice color variation. Spread the black orchid color a bit randomly with the damp baby wipe. Can you see the vintagey colors I'm getting from this combination? I used Bolivian blue primary elements to bring a deeper blue in and added it randomly with a damp baby wipe. One last thing I wanted to add to the honeycomb tag is bronze medallion primary elements. This is such a pretty color and will really add some beautiful highlights to it. I dabbed the color on for an almost molten metal look. Really cool stuff. All that's left to do is add some embellishments to the front of the tags. And here they are. On this tag I added some jewelry findings from my local craft store. The chipboard words are from Tim Holtz's quote chips. I simply colored them with Shabby Shutter's Distress ink, and I edged them with a gold Krylon leafing pen before I glued them down. I like the way it matches the clock face, and the ribbon is from Costco. On the second tag, I added some random stamping with a nondescript type of stamp and black archival ink. The rest of the pieces are jewelry findings from my stash, a black rubber ring around the tag hole, a trinket pin with dangly beads to hang from the ribbon, a metal frame with a metal piece that says live, and 4 metal studs for each corner. Of course, I added a few gears to go along with the steampunk bugs.